Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome in. Thanks for coming to our live event this week. I'm going to get my screen sharing started to show my intro slides for a moment here. All right. Today we have Philip with us, and also we have Vlad here as a back support. Philip and Vlad are both with Enforso, and Philip is presenting today bridging strategy and tactics with Jira Align. Gonna let Philip introduce himself in a moment. I just want to mention a few controls in case you are new to GoToWebinar. This screen capture plus and minus button are really useful tools. They will show up when you move your mouse over to the right of your screen. This will pop up and reveal, so you can use those functions. You should see what I'm sharing from my screen in the larger part of your dashboard right now. We also have the questions box open, so look for a little question mark inside a bubble shape. That's where you can ask questions throughout the presentation. Philip, Vlad, and myself will all be monitoring for questions. We'll ask for questions throughout, so definitely feel free to chime in there and we'll get your questions answered live. At the end, if we have time and you want to see the new discussion forum, I've been talking about this every week. We're really excited, and I know we do have some new members with us after the September sale just wrapped up. So welcome if you're a new MPUG member. Really happy to have you with us. And if you want to stick around at the end after Q&A with Philip, we can also check out the forum. And I will share the PDU claim code for today's event at the end as well. So that's all for me. I'm gonna stop my screen share and let the guys take it away.
All right. I will start by asking, can you guys hear me? Can you please react in the chat if you can hear me? Just to be sure I'm not talking alone here. Perfect, Mr. Thompson. Thank you very much. All right. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone from wherever you're located. My name is Philip Petrescu, and I'm going to be your presenter for today. We are going to discuss about bridging strategy and tactics with Jira Align. And without further ado, let's go quickly through the agenda. We're going to have a small introduction about myself, some useful links, a bit of a theory about strategy and tactics, key challenges, and then we will start to discuss about Jira Align, how does it work, some benefits, and of course, a small demo to give you a small preview in how Jira Align is looking and what are its main capabilities. So I'm currently a business development director at Enverso. I'm also working as a digital transformation lead and Jira Align expert. I have several years of experience in industries as manufacturing, automotive, pharmaceutical, and software development. And of course, if you want to hear or to know more about me, feel free to use a LinkedIn link that is posted here in the slide. This is because, I mean, you can already access it now, or you can access it after once you will receive the presentation. Just a bit of an introduction and about our useful links. If you need any help, feel free to access our website, www.enversa.com. If you have any questions or if you need any support, feel free to reach out to me. You can see here, this is my email address. If you want to have a free 60-minute session with me or with one of our solution engineers, feel free to ask about this. We are also available for Atlassian assessments within your organization. And we also tend to enter a smaller to enter with a small assignment in organizations where we can make a proof of concept during the period of 2 weeks, right? To analyze a bit your current situation and where we believe there's room for improvement. Also, because we will discuss about Jira Align, feel free to access this link here. It's a link that will redirect you to Atlassian.com. They are the actual creators of Jira Align. And here you will see all the information about pricing, more trainings, or more information about it. without further ado, let's start with strategy and tactics. So, why is essential for strategy to be connected to the tactics? And well, let's discuss a bit about what strategy and tactics are, right? Strategy, as you already know, is referring to the big plan, right? The big plan of the organization. Think about the strategy as a destination, right? It's where the organization wants to go and needs to go to survive. Now, at strategy level, leadership must be focused on key elements as vision, goals, objectives, and the real value that we want to deliver to our customers, right? If we want to make a summary, right, I really try to simplify this as much as possible and just to address two main questions, right? The why and the what. So normally at strategy level, right, we really want to ask questions as, okay, why do we exist? What is the added value of our organization? What is our direction? What is the value we want to deliver further to our customers, right? Where do we want to get and so on? This is why it's important to ask these questions as much as possible, mainly at strategy level, but also at tactical level, because it's recommended to challenge each other, right? Now, I've mentioned tactics, right? The second part. Well, the tactics is referring to the actual action steps, right, needed to be touched to achieve our goals and our vision, right? Basically, at this level, we are asking how a lot because this is exactly identifying of what we need to do and how we can achieve our goals, right? And what are our immediate actions, right, to achieve short-term objectives that are further contributing to the overall strategy. Now, why is this important? Well, if there's no connection between strategy and tactics, right, the organization simply will waste time and resources on things that in the end will not contribute to its overall strategy and the big goals, right? There are issues that, for example, that there are issues that can appear like misalignment, right? Misaligned priorities, insufficient resource allocation, lack of clarity, and so on, right? Now, if in small organization, this connection between the strategy and tactics, it's a bit simpler, right? Well, when we are discussing about a large organization, when we want to scale up and when we are discussing about organizations with hundreds or thousands of people, well, there are a lot of organizational challenges, right, that appear, but they can be resolved with something that we call digital transformation, right? And digital transformation, I'm 100% sure you have heard about this so many times that uh, you might already know what it is, but just to give a bit of a summary of digital transformation, right? Well, digital transformation acts as the bridge, right, that allows organization to scale effectively, right, by aligning the long-term strategy with the actionable tactical items, right? And in general, this can be done by leveraging specific tools, right? Because without tools, it's almost impossible to manage complexity, to optimize resources, to have the visibility across everything that is happening behind the scenes, right? So I have mentioned previously about key organizational challenges that are appearing whenever we have this gap, right? Whenever this gap is existing at organization level. So let's move further and discuss about them, right? So what are some of the key organizational challenges, right? You see here that I have listed some of them, and I will start with the first one, right? The vision. Well, the vision, in my perspective, is the most important item that needs to be resolved and identified before any transformation or any big change is happening in an organization. This is crucial because the vision acts as the North Star of an organization, right? Scaling, right? Scaling needs to be made efficiently, right? To ensure that even if we are growing our demands, right, we don't want to get rid of our quality, right? Quality is very important and it really needs to be kept as much as possible, even if we are scaling up. So if the scaling up is if the scaling of an organization is made organically, right, there's a high chance for the quality to remain the same, right? Another item is transparency, right? Ensuring transparency across all levels, that's really important for organizations, right? Another item is aligning roles and teams across multiple program teams or multiple solution teams or portfolios that you have within your organization, because these this is important for everyone to ensure everyone is talking about the same information, the same backlog, the same data, right, with the right people. Now, let me ask you the following: how many times you have encountered in your organization, right, a small problem when you are managing dependencies, right? Well, it matters for me. It happens for me to see a lot of organizations that had difficulties in resolving their dependencies. And if you have only a small number of teams, like let's say 10 teams, it's quite easy to coordinate with each other, right? But when you have, for example, 100 teams, right? Well, at that point, handling dependencies or raising dependencies across each other, it's a bit more difficult, right? And this normally can be resolved by starting to standardize specific processes or to choose the same tool used to manage dependencies and so on. Another item that we consider important is that it's important to make informed decision based on factual data, right? Whenever we are having facts on the table, it's very easy for our leadership to take decisions. And even in our own teams, right? As long as we have real facts and real data, it's so valuable, right? In order for us to take solid decisions. And the last item that I have on this slide, it's about navigating terminology confusion, right? Think about it as a glossary, and although it sounds like a very simple item, well, it generates a lot of problems, right? Think about having discussions in the same organization where you have, let's say, 10 different departments and everyone is sitting on the same table, or at least their representatives, right? And at one point, they really realize that, hey, what I understand by a feature is different from what you understand as a feature, or what I identify as a portfolio or as a product is different from what you understand. Okay, what is the definition of a product or a portfolio or other similar terminology, right? So this is quite important, although it sounds like a very um, a very simple topic to challenge. A very simple topic, right? Now, these challenges, right, can slow the progress of an organization, and it's very important to be addressed, right? And as I have mentioned previously, right, tools can be used to support this. And Jira Align is just one example. And this is one of the applications that we want to talk about today because it's a quite complex tool. And from our experience, it really resolves some key problems within organizations. Before going further, because we will start discussing about Jira Align, are there any questions? I don't see anything in the chat. So if it's okay with you, I will simply start discussing about Jira Align. Okay, so Jira Align, it's an enterprise software that helps large organization plan, track, and manage agile work, aligning strategy with execution. To give you a bit of Background about Jira Align. So Jira Align, it's a tool that was built by a company called Agile Craft, and it was built a few years ago by a company called Atlassian. Atlassian, it's a company that have a tool called Jira, right? So this is not Jira, this is called Jira Align. So we have two independent applications, and I will talk in a bit about the difference between the two of them. Now, still, what is Jira Align? Well, Jira Align is a tool that supports fact-based decision making, right? It provides full transparency across teams, programs, and portfolios. It ensures that leaders have a clear data-driven view across the progress and across the performance of the teams. Jira, it's a tool that aligns strategy with execution, right? It's a software that enables organization to adapt quickly while ensuring that all the levels of organizations are aligned and that any potential bottleneck is eliminated, right, before it occurs, right? So it's a tool that supports prevention, right? We want to prevent. We don't want to be just reactive to an immediate problem, right? We want to prevent these problems to occur. Jira Align, it's also a tool that it provides an out-of-the-box functionality, right, to have capacity planning and to deliver forecasting, right? It provides insights into the team capacity and it helps predict um, deliverables, allowing leaders to focus resources that are needed most and ensure realistic timelines based on actual capabilities. Align, it's a tool that supports Agile across teams. So if you are wondering if the classical project management style or waterfall style is supported by the tool, well, I personally seen this across some organizations. Some organizations try to do that, and it was not really successful. I strongly recommend to avoid doing that. And I really recommend to use Jira Align if the company has at least a basic maturity, right, in the agile way of working. Another out of the box functionality, right, it's about managing OKRs. OKRs represents objective key results for all the levels within the organization. So OKRs, right, if you're not familiar with the term, is focused on the value delivered by the company, right? So we really want to make the distinction between the work that we are doing versus the value that we are delivering, right? So imagine the following. You are having 500 members in your organization. Every member is working on a large number of items. You have a huge backlog, right? Let's say this organization with 500 people works for 2 years, right? Delivering something. You might realize without OKRs, without defining the value that you want to deliver, that you have developed so much work, you have developed so many features, right? But your product is not used by your customers because it doesn't provide the right value. And this is something very important because many organizations in the past really delivered a lot of work, but in reality, they have not kept the pace with the latest changes within the market so that their actual product delivered was obsolete in the end. So that's why important to have OKRs and periodically take the pulse of the progress, see if the customers are also in line with what we have agreed to deliver. And also it's important to adapt to our customers to ensure that we adapt our organization and our deliverables and our backlog to the latest changes, right? To the latest requests from our customers. Because let's be realistic, the market is changing every day. We need to change at the same pace because otherwise we will just be left behind. So let's discuss a bit about Jira Align and Jira. As I have mentioned a bit, there are two independent applications, connected of course, but independent. Now, Jira Align, let's start with Jira Align, right? Is focused on the value, right? So it's focused on OKRs, objective key results, right? It provides the helicopter view of the entire organization. And for all the backlog we have in the system, if you have a very complex organization with multiple portfolios, Jira Online can offer a holistic and a helicopter view for everything that is happening. And it's possible to create and to see the value delivered for each layer within the organization. I will talk in a bit about the layers that exist in an organization and in Jira Online. Now, on the other hand, Jira, right, it's a tool focused on deliverables, on the day-to-day activities. So I think you already know that in development, right, especially in development, our teams use Jira to track their daily tasks, to understand what they have to do, what they need to focus during the current week or the next week, and so on. Now, even if Jira could support some of the functionalities from Jira Align, they are not out of the box, right? So they need to be configured a lot. We need to buy plugins and to adapt the tool to support to replicate some of the functionalities existing in Jira Align. However, even if we do that, it's not scalable because Jira Align it's an enterprise application. It's built and it's focused on complex organizations with hundreds, if thousands, tens of thousands of people. Now, which personas are using Jira Align and Jira? Well, let's try to see this a bit here on the bottom side. So Jira is focused on agile development, day-to-day activities, right? And in general, you might have heard about roles as product owners or scrum leads or agile teams, right? Product owner in general is the guardian of the backlog. The product owner identifies and sets the priorities for the team, and the agile teams they develop what is in the backlog. And the scrum lead in general, the scrum lead is acting as a coach, is acting as a person that resolves dependencies, and it ensures that the teams are not blocked, right? These are three essential roles within an agile team, right? And in general, they are working in Jira. Now, as you see here on the bottom, it supports the progress, right? Deliverables. On the other side, on the left side, we have Jira Align. And Jira Align, it's a bit more complex, right? It focused on lean portfolio management, the value delivered, and so on. And it sets priorities, right? It sets priorities that they further flow into Jira. So why I'm saying that it flows into Jira is because Jira Align cannot exist independently. It always needs to be paired with Jira, right? So if you are building a strategy in Jira Align, well, you need someone to execute the strategy, to implement it. So that's why Jira comes in place, right? And once they are connected, the information, some of the information is flowing bidirectionally between the two applications so that the strategy is reflected to our agile teams, right? And our agile teams, right, the progress they're having is reflected up to the leadership through this application. Just want to mention that the integration between the two is almost instant, right? It's a live integration, so we don't need to wait like for days or for weeks to data to get synchronized, right? From our experience, it's about a matter of minutes. Um, and once the information is populated in Jira, for example, like the progress, that is reflected almost immediately in Jira Align. Now, in Jira Align, there's also one more thing that needs to be mentioned here. You see that at roles, right, the personas, we have additional personas here, right? We don't have only the product owner, Scrum leads, or agile teams. We have other roles as program lead, or in some other frameworks, you might have heard about the term chief product owner, a solution owner, an initiative owner, PMO, strategy lead, etc., right? This is getting a bit more complex, and we have a need of multiple roles just because Jira Align is focused on an enterprise, right? It's not simply focused on a single team, right? Things are really complex if an organization decides to start using Jira Align, right? Before going further to discuss about how GeoLine is working and what is the actual structure supported by GeoLine, are there any questions, right? Just to remind you, feel free to address them in the question section or in the chat, and we will try to address any or the question that you have as best as possible. I see there's no question. Then let's continue further with how Jira Align works. Uh, right. Okay, so how does it work? So here we have multiple dimensions that we want to cover. So because we want to cover multiple dimensions, I have hidden some of them, and I want to focus only on the first dimension, the people dimension. So in any organization, right, we have people grouped in multiple teams, right? And starting from bottom to top, we have teams that sometimes you might hear the term of a Scrum team or a Kanban team or a Scrumban team, or in any way that you want to organize or to name these teams. In general, it's a group of 5 to 10 to 15 people. Now, if you want to scale up, right, you want to group these multiple teams, right, in what we call the second layer, which is the program team or the tribe. In general, a tribe or a program team is a group of teams, right, approximately of 100, 150 people. As we go above, you have the solution level, which is works the same. It's just as a tree, it's a group of program teams, and the same above as a portfolio team and organization like the entire enterprise organization. You will see here that I have the solution team highlighted the background is highlighted with a different color. This is because it's a level that in general does not exist unless you have an organization so complex that is building rockets that goes to Mars. You really don't need this layer, at least from my experience, unless you're building rockets, and that's really, really complex. In many organizations, because this is not existing, it means that the work items from the program team, they are connected directly to the portfolio level, right? So this is about the people dimension. It's just an organizational way, right? It's just a way to organize our people and our teams. Now, the second dimension, it's about the value dimension. And this is about what I was mentioning previously, OKRs, objective key results. This is possible. So in Jira Align, it's possible to define these OKRs, these objectives, right, at all the levels, team level, program level, solution level, portfolio. But you see that at organized level, organization level, we don't talk about OKRs anymore. That's where we discuss about the vision of the company, which shouldn't get changed too often, and the goals of the company, right? Then we have work dimension. If at team level, right, we are discussing about work items as daily tasks, So you might have heard about the term of a user story of a daily task, right? As long as we go further up, we discuss about other work items, larger work items, right? At program level, we discuss about epics, then we discuss about capabilities, and then we discuss about initiatives. And you will see here that we have also slash portfolio epics. There are so many frameworks in the market, or so many ways to define your work items, that this is just a terminology. Just remember what I have mentioned previously about the glossary with your organization. It's important to define a standard terminology for your work items and use it across your organization, right? There are agile frameworks like Scrum at Scale, SAFe, Less, and others. Every framework is using a different terminology. My personal recommendation, try to stick to a terminology regardless what practices you want to implement internally. If you want everyone to use the terminology of Epic, perfect. If you want everyone to use the terminology of feature, perfect. If you want everyone to use, I don't know, something else, feel free to use that, but stick to the plan and be sure that everyone is using the same information across all the teams. Now let's discuss about the last dimension, the time dimension, right? If you're at team level on the bottom layer, we are discussing about days, right? Like daily tasks should be in general result in days, right? Then as we go further to epics, those needs to be resolved in, well, weeks, right? And why I'm saying weeks, when we are crossing the line between days and weeks, well, in general, at team level, user stories are resolved in days, right? Because teams are working in general in sprints, right? Iterations of one week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or maximum 4 weeks, right? Recommended is to use 2 weeks. So in general, user stories at team level should be defined and be resolved in maximum 2 weeks, right? The epics, right? Those needs to be resolved in multiple weeks, right? In general, a rough recommendation is for 3 months, because if it's something larger than 3 months, it becomes too complex, right? So we cannot track efficiently the work item. So at that point, we already need to break it down into smaller pieces. The same logic applies, right? As you go up, capabilities are delivered in months, and then initiatives in months or even years. And as I have mentioned, vision should not change too often, right? That's for multi-year timeline. Very important here, you see we have Jira and Jira Align. The two layers from the bottom, the team layer and program layer, in general, those exist in Jira and they flow to Jira Align. The other layers, solution program, solution portfolio, and organization, those exist only in Jira Line, right? So again, even if in Jira Line you can see everything, right? The information from team level and program level, those information are coming from Jira. Now, let's discuss about a practical example. How does it work with a practical example? I have created here an example without the solution layer. I have tried to simplify this a bit, right? And start with the portfolio objective. I've tried to zoom in as much as possible. So the portfolio objective represents the value, right? Let's imagine we want to expand our market share, right? Within the next year by 50%. We are already specific, right? Now, how we want to measure that? Well, let's imagine that our internal teams have made some analysis and they have realized, hey, to get to that 50% increase, we want to launch 3 new products, and they define this key result. So key result is just a metric. Today we have, let's say, 0 new products. in 1 year we want to get to 3 new products. So it's just a metric that we want to get, I don't know, to 3. Of course, we will not deliver 3 products from the beginning. We will start with 1, with 2, and then with 3. Now, how do we get this value? Well, at that point, we already start to discuss about the work dimension, this initiative here, right? We start developing and launch a new AI-powered feature set and aimed at improving enterprise workflow. This is a work item that is a tangible work item, and in general, within the organization, we can make a demo for this work item and say, hey, we have developed this. This is how it works. Get it, test it, and then if it's okay, just release it on the market. Again, this is happening at portfolio level. Of course, this is very complex, so we need to break it down in smaller pieces. So if we want to break down the portfolio in smaller objectives, we can do that, right? And here, for example, one objective is again focused on value, deliver innovative features for enterprise customers to enhance product adoption. How we want to measure that is by releasing 2 major features, right? What is the work behind those releases? Well, at that point, we start defining work items as epics, right? We want to build an AI-based automation tool for enterprise customers. That work is still too complex to be delivered, let's say, in a few days. So what we will do is we will break that work item in user stories, daily tasks for our analysts, developers, testers, and so on to really do their work at every day. One small thing to mention here, you will see that the vision and the goal, like here, I have placed a dash. It's possible to define objectives at team level. My personal recommendation is not to do that because it's very granular. It's too granular. It generates um, a lot of data that needs to be maintained. And although it's good to have objectives at team level, while at least don't expect to be delivered every week or every month. Just try to make it a bit, well, at least from my experience, try to deliver it a bit more, okay, like quarterly objective for our team to improve the way of working and so on. And that's a personal recommendation from rolling out Jira Align to several customers. Any question until this point? I'm still wondering if this is a monologue and I'm talking with myself only, or if people can really hear me. Can you at least react to, yeah, perfect. All right. Thank you. All right. Now let's discuss about benefits of Jira, of using Jira Align. Well, I've tried to consolidate here several questions identified in organizations that have identified several problems, right? So if you are wondering why you are developing within your organization certain features and how do they impact your customers, well, this is something that if you implement Jira Align correctly, you can start answering to this question. If you ever wondered if you can manage your expectations during a program increment is a quarter, right? It's a time frame by aligning your teams with priorities, or if you ever wonder if your capacity is enough, right, to meet your priorities, right? This is something that is possible to track and to discover and to identify using a tool like Jira Align. Now, if you ever wondering if you have full insights across your team's dependencies, well, from my perspective, this is one of the most challenging part because it starts to trigger the interaction between teams, which is something very important. I strongly recommend to focus on um, recommending and on learning teams to really interact with each other right efficiently, because this can become a very problematic topic within an enterprise organization. Now, if you have ever wondered if you can track your cycle time, your blocked items, or your mitigation plans work effectively, or if you are ever tired about sharing the progress using multiple formats with your stakeholders, well, that's something that can happen in a tool like Jira Align, right? Just to mention something here very important. Jira Align is very efficient to define and to have to provide you the helicopter view. But Jira Align is not a BI tool, right? If you're expecting to be able to create custom reports, well, you have a set of reports available and valuable reports in Jira Align, but if you really want to build something custom within your organization, you might want to use a dedicated BI solution. Now, if you are wondering what is the overall progress for a specific work item, project, feature, product, any terminology that you're using in your organization, right? Well, that's something that Jira Align can support, right? The same for the question that if the leaders are happy with what they're seeing, well, you can ask them this right now. I mean, tomorrow you can ask them if they're happy, and if the answer is no, well, I think there's some research that needs to be happening within your organization. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to address them. We are more than happy to support with our vast experience. Now, before going to the actual very short demo, are there any questions within the audience? Right, I don't see any questions. Okay, then let's start with the actual demo. So let me switch to Jira um, Jira Align. Just give me a second. This is basically Jira Align, right? It's a cloud-based solution, right? You see here I'm connected to my environment. This is the home screen, right? You will see here that we don't have a lot of information because it's a demo environment. So I have tried not to overwhelm anyone with the data here. So just to explain a bit what we are having here. On the top side, we have the horizontal bar that defines that we can use to identify the layer within the organization. If you remember our diagram, the enterprise layer, portfolio layer, program layer, team layer, right? And let's stop here. Let's not discuss about the others because we're getting into a rabbit hole and we don't want to, we don't have enough time to discuss about it today, right? If we want to see the information, for example, at portfolio level, right? Let's take, for example, a portfolio called digital services, right? Here, we will open by default into a dashboard, right? And into a menu on the left side. Please don't look in the middle for now. Let me explain what we have on the left side. I will jump in a second in the middle. So on the left side, we have the filtering bar with some key options. Like every feature that we want to use from portfolio layer is listed here on the left side. If I want to change the portfolio, I can easily click here. I can change the portfolio. If I want to filter the information based on a specific quarter or program increment, I can use this. I can simply use this filtering option here. If I want to see here the entire overview for my portfolio for quarter 6 in this case, well, this is the name of the quarter, QA6, right? This is what's available at this layer. You can see here in the middle, we have a time frame, we have a progress bar, right? The entire portfolio is 87% completed. We have information about the actual work items that we have here. If I am expanding one of these items, uh, oh, wrong click, right? If I expand this, I can cascade the information and see, okay, the contributing epics, right? These are initiatives. If I drill down into this, then I will be able to see the actual contributing epics here. Now, going back on the left side, Initiatives, it's another section available at portfolio level, right? If I'm opening the initiatives section, here I will simply see a list of initiatives available in the system for my organization. I will be able to open any of them and even start adding the information as description, contributing teams, changing the status, defining the status, customizing the status um, for what I have within my organization, right? And so on. Now, going back on the left side, we have the backlog. Well, you might wonder, initiatives and backlog is the same. Well, it's almost the same. Within the initiative section, you cannot prioritize your backlog. It's normally recommended to define your work items. And in the backlog view, normally we discuss about setting the priorities for our teams and for our organization. The same, if you go further, we have a view like a roadmap view. This is just the classical view, like a kind of a project management, but it's not project management. Here we are able to filter the information as we want and to see the progress. For example, everything that you see here, it's an initiative. If I want to change the granularity of this view and instead of initiative, I want to see the epics, I can simply change here the view. If I want to have the information grouped in a specific way, the same I can do. If I drill down on this initiative, I can see the contributing epics. And the same goes on, right? You can see objectives, 3, here you have what I was previously mentioning as an OKR. It's very easy to see the progress of an objective here in this list. The progress is defined into steps, the work progress, so how much work was performed or was completed towards that objective versus key results progress, which is like a manual progress that is measured, but is measuring the value for our customers. And a lot of similar information can be found under other functionalities within the system. Now, what I want to mention here is very important. This is happening at portfolio level. If I'm navigating to a to another layer, like a program team layer or a team layer, the view it's almost the same, almost the same. Some functionalities are different, right? But the granularity is very important. So here, this AI program team is just a small piece from our digital portfolio. And you can see here, we have a dashboard which is called Program Room. It's focused on the current program team, AI program team. And during this quarter, here normally if you have data, we can see the full set of epics, the progress for each epic, how many open dependencies we have, how many blockers we have. If we're having a dependency that is blocking our work, we can see that, and a lot of similar information. A very nice functionality here is what we are calling a program board, and it's a visualization that I strongly recommend. And let me change the actual timeline here to include multiple quarters. I strongly recommend you to use this for PI planning and PI execution. You can easily use this view to manage it in a very easy way, right, during the sessions. Of course, you need to have data, right? You need to have the teams in the system, you need to have work items in the system, and so on. And it's something that if you're interested, we can easily help you to do it. Now, here we went from portfolio to the lower level, to the programs level, right? We can do the same for team level, but I'm looking at the time and it's not in our favor. Let me show you one very small item at enterprise level, right? At enterprise level, right, it's possible to see the actual helicopter view. If you have the mission, vision, and the value, right, of the values of the company to steer your organization, it's very easy then to see, okay, in this pyramid, okay, how many work items we have, it's here on the right side of the pyramid, versus the value that we have defined in the system, objectives, OKRs at each layer. We can see the progress, we can track the progress, we can challenge where we are, and even if you go further down, we can see more like a helicopter view for the entire value dimension within our organization. Same for OKRs, right? If you want, it's just a different view here to see some information, like a strategic goal that is cascaded into a portfolio objective, that is further cascaded into a program objective, and specific progress for each of these elements. I will put a pin for the demo for now, and I will switch back to our presentation, right? But before we go to our best practices, do you have any questions about the tool? All right. Looking at the chat and I don't see anything. Let's go with the final step, right? And let's discuss about some best practices, right? Now, Jira Align is an application that works if the organization is a bit mature, like it's not very young in the agile way of working. My personal experience with Jira Align is that if you want to continue, or if you're using a project management style or a waterfall style, and you want to use Jira Align, don't use Jira Align. My personal experience was that it provides more problems, it generates more problems than it resolves. My strong recommendation is to first get your leadership on board and then to try to make them support the organization to transform into a more value-driven process. Now, Jira Align should not be used without Jira. It misses its purpose, like it's not the purpose of Jira Align to act alone. It's imagine that if you are using Jira Align as an independent tool, is that, well, you can define your value and your strategy in Excel. It's like a standalone silo. It's not cascaded anywhere. You will need to do a lot of manual work to cascade the information to your development teams. It's not recommended, right? And it's best if you're connecting this automatically with Jira. You can customize your tool, do it, try to use the tool in your favor, right, to make your life easier and your team's lives easier, but don't over customize it, right? That will lead again to a rabbit hole that you might need to resolve at one point, and well, it can become a bit complex to do it. Atlassian recommends to use Jira Align when you have more than 500 users. Well, remember what I have mentioned previously. Jira Align provides out-of-the-box functionalities, right, to be value-driven. Jira can support with some functionalities, right, but can also be customized with plugins to replicate some of the functionalities that Jira Align offers. However, remember that Jira is not an enterprise organization at the scale of Jira Align, right? So there is a reason for which we are recommending Jira Align instead of only using Jira. Now, since Jira Align is not a BA solution, we recommend it to pair it with a dedicated app, Atlassian Analytics, Power BI, Tableau, etc. Try to establish governance. Governance and roles are very important, and I strongly recommend you to focus on this before you start using Jira Align, right? Uh, I saw organizations that have started using Jira Align. They have started to define roles within the tool, but then they had to scrap everything, and it just created Muda, which is a waste. One more thing that we want to do, that we have listed here, well, pricing, right? Yeah, we have included here the link towards the Atlassian website. Pricing starts from 80,000 K, right? So this is based on usage, right? On people and roles and users defined in the system. So connecting this to the previous point, roles and responsibilities must be very well defined. Otherwise, can be a very expensive solution. That's pretty much for my side. If you have any questions, feel free to address them to me. I can stay a few more minutes in the call. Otherwise, feel free to address them to me using the email address. And that's pretty much from my side for today. Morgan, would you like to take over?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for all that information and demonstration. We do have 5 minutes left on the call, so please feel free to use the questions box to ask your questions while we still have Philip here with us. In the meantime, I will go ahead and put up the PDU claim code for today. Let me just get to the right screen here.
Hmm.
All right. Okay, so today's code is capital MPUG 100224. All capital letters MPUG 100224. Leave that up for a moment. And Philip, if you have, since you have your PowerPoint open on your side, if you want to copy and paste any of those links from your contact slide into the chat for everyone, that might be helpful too, so they can have
Give me
easy
a second.
access.
Just give me a second.
Sure. All right, make sure everyone got your claim code. And then you can go ahead and share. Oh, never mind. You're going to use the chat. You don't need to share. That was the whole point.
No worries. And anyway, I will share this presentation with you, and I will kindly ask you to share it with everyone,
Okay,
so
great.
that anyone that needs to take another look over this presentation, they can easily do it.
Sounds good. So that will be available on the replay page, which will show up under training and lessons on MPUG's site. As MPUG members, you have full access to our lesson archive, and this one will be available within the next 24 hours. So you'll be able to rewatch the video, and I'll make the PDF available for download on that same page for you as well. All right. Oh, I wasn't in full screen. That's okay. I think everyone was able to see it. All right, so I'm going to take us on a little tour of the forum as promised, since we have time. Um, oh, before we leave, okay, great. I see your links went through the chat. That's perfect. So everyone can copy and paste those and take advantage of this really generous offer for the 60-minute Atlassian review. And Philip is definitely a subject matter expert on all things Jira, so take advantage of that as well. Thank you for that offer. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. If you'd like to stick around for just a couple minutes to see inside the member forum, I would love to show you around. Thanks everyone for coming. We will see you next time if you have to go.
Thanks a lot for organizing, Morgan.
Anytime. Thank you.